Alex Smith, former quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the Washington football team, has retired from the NFL. He was, of course, a number one pick in the 2005 NFL draft. And, this has got a lot of people talking about, him, his legacy, his great comeback. We know he came back after 17 surgeries on that ankle, on that leg rather, that was demolished in that 2018, I believe, is a week 10 game. But Alex Smith is officially retired. There was talk that he might go to Jacksonville. Urban Meyer even indicated that he wanted Alex Smith. Alex Smith indicated that this was something that could happen, but unfortunately, it looks like he's decided, I'm going to spend more time with family. I'm going to spend more time with my kids. I made the NFL comeback, and arguably the greatest comeback ever, but Alex Smith now officially gone from the NFL, retiring. Andrew, what is your reaction to this news? And what is Alex Smith's legacy? Because it's a complicated one.
So my first thing is I just want to congratulate Alex Smith. He had a hell of a career. He did have a roller coaster of a career. And regardless of what people might think of, he might not have lived up to the standards of a number one overall pick. I was looking at some stats the other day. Did you know, I think he's he might be the only quarterback in NFL history. He has 40 wins for both an AFC for both an AFC team and an NFC team. So there is that. His legacy, it's a weird one because, as I said before, he was a number one pick, didn't necessarily live up to the hype of being a number one pick. But listen, not all number one picks do live up to the hype of being a number one pick. And given how some number one picks have fared, given how long he played, how many games he won, like his, what does he have, like a 69? I think his winning percentage is like 69% or something over his career. And considering the fact that he basically overcame an injury that A, could have killed him, and then B, worked his way back onto the field and led a joke of a franchise. The Sacramento Kings of football took that franchise, who picked number 2 overall the year before, to a playoff berth, hosted a playoff game, was 5-1 as a starter. I think when you think about his legacy, you have to look at, obviously you're going to look at the entirety of his career. Wasn't necessarily, I think, what was it? Kaepernick took over for him first in San Francisco. Then he lost his spot when he got hurt. He lost his spot to Mahomes. And then here, he had his last hurrah with Washington. So it's a complicated career, but I think his legacy is going to be, he is going to be remembered as that guy who almost had his life ended from a football injury. And then not only did he come back strong, like he beat it, he lived, he came back and he led arguably the biggest joke of a franchise in sports to the playoffs his only year back. That's my take on Alex Smith.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of points there, and then I think that's like kind of why the story of Alex Smith is something like you could write volumes on. You couldn't just write one book on his entire career. You could write like different volumes. Like there'd be sequels to that shit. But Alex Smith, I think, is probably like there's a lot to say, right? Like I said, but Alex Smith, I think his legacy is going to come down to being at his worst. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks at his worst, if that makes sense. Meaning that his floor, like after he got everything together, after the San Francisco 49ers organization got everything together, because it was a mess of an organization his first few years. But from 2011 until the end of his career in 2020, his floor was the highest of almost any quarterback in the NFL. He won games. He has a above 60% winning percentage. He mentored a lot of quarterbacks. Whether you look in 2012 when Kaepernick took over for Alex Smith, when he was in Kansas City, Mahomes took over for Alex Smith after that. So quarterbacks have had success. Who knows what's going to happen with Taylor Heinicke? Maybe that year under Alex Smith could help him, catapult him into being a quality NFL starter. We'll find that out this year. But I think Alex Smith is going to be remembered, obviously, for grooming a lot of these quarterbacks, for being a great teammate, for arguably being the best game manager in NFL history. And on top of all of that, Also, this amazing, tremendous comeback he had that there's not a lot of players. There's not a lot of people who could come back and do a lot of, do everyday things like Alex Smith was able to do. Alex Smith defied the odds, and he proved, like, I know it's cliche, right? He proved that you can do anything with perseverance, and he persevered. And the story of Alex Smith, honestly, is a great one. There's talk that they might name the Comeback Player of the Year award after him, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like, he literally, like, this is a person who had sepsis. He had an infection. He had an infection in his leg, gangrene basically growing in his leg, and they almost had to amputate it or he would die. He was literally just not long from dying if they didn't catch that. So the fact that he was able to just not even play football, but lead his team to a playoff game, to a playoff berth, amazing. This is literally a fairy tale ending, but I thought it was great. I thought, Alex Smith, we have a statement, by the way, from Alex Smith, so let's actually read that out real quick. So in a statement Alex Smith made, he said, "I want to say thank you for believing in me, and thank you for helping me believe in myself and in the impossible. Because even though I've got plenty of snaps left in me after 16 years of giving this game everything I've got, I can't wait to see what else is possible." And again, it's just, he even to the end, he's humble because he knows, I think he knows that, his career, while he could play for a few more years, he might be a backup, he might be, a transitional piece of quarterback. I don't think he wants that. And I think he kind of understands that the current day NFL has, as far as him being a starter, it's probably slim pickings, if we're being honest, because there was talk that he was going to go be basically the backup to Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And I don't think he wants to do that, So, again, though, Alex Smith, I think, he's one of the most underrated stories in the NFL. And he hasn't gotten his due, I think, till now. A lot of people, after the injury, kind of magically noticed how great Alex Smith was. But this is someone who's just been literally, I don't think he's had a losing record since 2011 as a starter in like every season. He's just won games. That's all he does. I had Ben, our colleague Ben, on the show earlier this month, and he was just talking about how Alex Smith, all he does is win games. And that's what he did up until the end. He won games. So kudos to Alex Smith. We're going to miss you, but, I feel like he'll be around, whether it's in the booth or whether it's, somewhere else. I think Alex Smith will be around.
He definitely has the makings of a coach. Like, he definitely has the makings of, like, given his story and everything, he could be, I could see him maybe coach in high school. He could, take a college job, an offensive coordinator job, because he definitely understands be a quarterback's coach. He definitely understands the quarterback position. And listen, given his resume of guys that he's developed, like that he's mentored and everything like that, I mean, I'm not going to say Kaepernick was a world beater, but Kaepernick was better than some of the guys that I saw some teams, throw out there this year. And, Mahomes, like, he mentored that guy. Like, as much as, like, Andy Reid has gone into the makings of what Mahomes has become and that team around him, a lot of that, the whole point of somebody sitting behind another quarterback is to learn from that quarterback, and just probably all the information that Alex Smith instilled in him, taught that kid. It's invaluable. So I could definitely see him coaching, or even in the booth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like football will be a part of his life, just whether it's in the booth, whether it's as a commentator, whether it's as an analyst. I don't think we've seen the last of Alex Smith. Definitely not in football.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.